Do you ever really know where life is going to take you? What's up, guys? Marty White here, episode 98 of Marketing Siege Radio. And, honestly, it can be a very scary thing to know that your game of life can change in an instant. Regardless of how set in your ways you are or how you've been doing things for a long time, life has a way of throwing curveballs. So the question really becomes, how do you prepare for the unknown challenges or of tomorrow? And I often think back on some of the biggest personal transitions in my life, whatever the right prepositional phrase is right there. And these days, I've been, just adding another skill to the tool belt over the past year or several months, somewhere in that area for sure. And that's the skill of copywriting. So these days I think of like all of, let's call them chapters of my life. I think of like what the headline of that chapter is. It's a cool little exercise that I go through, but it's not only for copywriting. It plays more into the game than you would think it might. So just a few of them here. I was kind of having fun writing out my daily email to my list, which, by the way, you can go to gearedupinsider.com/GG right now and hop on in, grab my gamification guide, and be on the list. So you'll be the first to know these things as I do them. But just reading off a few of them here. 100-pound depressed overweight band or 100-pound overweight depressed band director becomes nutrition counselor on fire by day and shredded cage fighter by night. That one makes me smile. That one was awesome. That was a journey I've talked about a lot. Secondly is how a professionally injured amateur MMA fighter, let me read that one more time, how a professionally injured amateur MMA fighter turned video game addiction on its head to become an expert life coach and business consultant. And, finally, the one I'm working on right now, married business owner develops a weird system to make seven figures playing video games, training, and telling stories in less than a year without sacrificing your relationship with your significant other or burning out. All these are true stories, but admittedly, that last one is still in progress. But you guys are right here on that ride with me. And those three headlines represent past, present, and future. And, I look at these headlines and I used to feel ashamed of my past failures and screw-ups. I really let it get me down. Like, I really... whenever I, came to terms and came to grip with I was 100 pounds overweight way back in the day, even after I got rid of it, I still viewed myself as that 100-pound depressed band director. I was ashamed that I was depressed. Like, how weak can you be? Were things that I was telling to myself. And I, also remember how on fire I was helping people that wanted to be helped with their nutrition. And I remember the thrill of training in MMA and fighting in MMA. And then another serious, like, traumatic event for me was, within my very short professionally injured amateur MMA career, I had a couple of knee surgeries, as I've talked about a lot before. And I was ashamed that my body couldn't keep up with what I wanted to do physically, how it kept betraying me, how, I kept doing these things to make sure that it was going to be there for me, eating healthy, exercising right, doing the right things, and I kept being betrayed by my own body, and I used to be ashamed about that. And I've said at length the story of the battles I did with video game addiction and screen addiction itself and the negative effects of that, and how I turned it on its head to actually, be the system that I use to coach people in the game of life and as a business consultant, creating the game that their customers would like to play to keep them fully engaged and enjoying themselves and having a good time here. And the last headline I came up with here, which is completely future based, but I'm calling my shot. It's happening right now. Married business owner develops a weird system to make 7 figures out of playing video games, training and telling stories in less than a year without sacrificing your relationship with your significant other or burning out. And, you know, those last 2 are things that I'm afraid of, and I'm not going to let anything happen to those. And, you know, instead of feeling ashamed about all my past failures and screw ups, I realized something here. I realized that every day you play the game, which you're playing whether you want to or not, every day you play the game of life, you get new data, DLC, if you will, downloadable content for the uninformed from your life experience. And every day is a chance to overwrite the old files. You know, one of the most powerful presentations from Funnel Hacking Live that I recently went to back in February was Jim Edwards, and how he said that he made $8,000 some odd dollars for the whole year. And then he needed to overwrite that story and make it something different. He needed to make it, you know, I'm giving $8,000 to OUR to stop child trafficking and stuff like that. And that rung my bell pretty hard because that paralleled about the amount of money I had made last year. And just to see that, seeing him overwriting that story. And at the same time, I told, you know, my own personal story that goes a lot deeper whenever it comes to video games to some colleagues there at Funnel Hacking Live as well. And I have some files, some trauma that I need to overwrite back there. And you really must be able to forgive your past mistakes and, you know, actually laughing lovingly at your past self, your past versions of yourself is actually the best. Notice I said laughing lovingly, not laughing at, because I know that version of myself would be destroyed. But by doing so, you actually are preventing the corruption of those bad files back there, and you're allowing for new data block to come in. You're actually making room whenever you're able to forgive those mistakes and let them go. And we've all experienced some sort of trauma in our life. And if you're a business owner, which if you're in this group, you probably are, you created your business because you've experienced some sort of trauma. You didn't like the way things were and you resolved to change it. So from my experience, the best way to resolve that inner turmoil is to constantly rewrite that headline of your life until it reads like the game you want to play, until it reads like the game that you want your life to be. Step into it and own it. By the way, I'm running this free web class in 2 weeks called How to Master the Game of Life Without Burnout, Boredom, and Sacrificing Yourself. You guys should all be there. All you have to do is go to gearedupinsider.com/win and register your seat. But hurry, seats are limited, and I have a good feeling about this one. So remember, you're one upgrade away.